clubbed because you might not. Yeah. So welcome to Hatha Yoga. The next 2 weeks, today and next week, we've reached the air element. We'll be working with the air element. In the yoga philosophy, the air element is associated with heart space, heart chakra. We'll be doing practices, energetic and physical, around that space. And of course, the heart space is associated with the arms. And so we'll be using our arms a lot in different positions, including working with binds this week and next week. For our pranayamas, we will do bellows breath. That's that big breath in, big breath out. We can think about it as originating in the whole torso involved with the big breath in and the big breath out. And we'll also utilize the 4-7-8 breath, which also involves the breathing into the entire torso and then holding the breath for a count of 7 in the body and allowing the breath to slowly come out from the bottom to the top for a count of 8. So those are some of the practices we will be doing. We'll be doing camels in terms of asana for this week and next week. That's, of course, a prime pose of opening the heart space. Blocks may be useful for your practice. A little washcloth may be useful. We'll go ahead and start. Bring your blanket. We always use a blanket, of course, to the middle of your mat, and bring your knees behind the blanket and come down into a reclining child's pose. You can have your forehead on the blanket, your palms right by your feet, with the backs of the hands to the floor. And in that position, allow your shoulders, feel that they're melting down toward the floor, that they're just being gently pulled by gravity, and come into contact with the back space of the heart. So when we think heart, we often think about the front body, but the heart is also in the back body, and even in the side body, the whole thoracic. So bringing our attention to the back of the heart, breathe into that space. Start to bring the breath there. You can always set your breath intention with an exhalation and then begin the deliberate breathing. Take 3 or 4 breaths like this, continually allowing the shoulders to relax downward. And with the in-breath expanding in the back of the heart, with the exhale just melting down. Empty the breath completely with your next exhale. And as we inhale, we'll slowly rise to the knees, bring the arms up, let the heart reach up. And with the exhale, turn the palms to face you and come right back down into that reclining chest. Find your own rhythm here. Make it nice and smooth. Move with the breath. Inhaling, rising up, heart lifting, shoulder relaxing down, and exhaling, coming down. Steady exhalation complete. 2 more times, just like this. The next time we rise, staying up, exhale, draw the palms to heart center. Climb the knees up to the blanket. And release your hands down into tabletop. Taking an inhale into a cow. Open the front of the heart. With the exhale, push into cat and feel that you're opening the back of the heart. Again, breathing in, finding your own tempo. Strong arms. Exhaling completely. Wrists are underneath the shoulders. Taking one more round here. With our next inhale, finding a neutral spine, tucking the toes, lift the hips, and reach the heels back to down dog. Check out your palms, that they're nice and spread. Ground into the front of the palm, the inside of the hand. Any movement here that might feel good in your first down dog, if you want to walk it out. Once your movements are symmetrical on both sides, inhale to the ball mounts of the feet. Take an exhale to bend the knees a lot and bring the torso through, pushing into the palms, shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling, roll it out into plank, heart forward, eyes of the elbows forward, strong legs. Exhale, release the knees down and go back into left toe stretch. Inhale and bring it up through a plank. Exhale and we'll meet in a down dog. Walk the hands back to the feet, softening the knees. Knees as bending as you need to. Find a rag doll at the back of your mat. Just let the head dangle here. With the next inhale, roll up slowly. Head is last to come up. And exhale, take your shoulders back and down. Take a few shoulder rolls here. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Now roll your shoulders the other way. Taking them back, up, and forward. Just once. Go the other way, up, back, and down. Take an inhale to reach the arms overhead. Look up, drop the tailbone, and exhale, fold into the legs. Bend the knees again, grab your elbows and hang in a rag doll. Knees as bending as we need them to be. Let the head release. Empty the breath here. With your next inhale, framing the head, slowly rise it up. And exhale up, out, and over toward the left. Keeping the line of the body, inhaling here. And exhaling to go a little bit deeper into your side bend. Inhaling, rising up. And exhaling for the second side. Keeping the line of the body, inhaling in place. Empty the breath and go. Inhaling, rising up, open. And exhale, swan dive. Walk the hands back out again. And let's find a down dog. Emptying the breath here. Bringing the knees to the blanket. Extend the feet and rise up to the knees. Interlacing the hands behind the head. Take an inhale into the heart space. Hold the breath there and curl down and up. Meeting at the top when you're ready. Exhale, release the arms down. Taking a breath here. And meeting in a down dog. With your next inhale, create some space and step your left foot forward into a lunge. So the left knee is aligning over the ankle, feet on separate tracks. Take an inhale here. Allow the heart to open forward, the shoulders down, and exhale into a long pyramid, emptying the breath. Inhale, come forward through the lunge and dip your knee just barely to the blanket. Let the heart open. Exhale, up, out, and over. Long pyramid. Inhaling, coming back again. This time, let your knee release to the blanket. You can start with your toes tucked. Engage the lower body to rise up with the torso. Extend the foot if you would like now. Invite the outer ankle on the right side in so you're not sickling the foot. And allow the hips to come forward, engaging through the whole right leg. Inhaling, sweeping the right arm up and back. Bring it to the right thigh and reach the left arm up. Coming into a variation of crescent moon. Hips releasing forward. Engaging the whole back leg, heart opening. Taking an inhale here. Slow exhale, bring the hands down to frame the foot. Inhaling, straighten the left leg, Tuck the right toes and empty the breath out and over into half splits. One more breath here. Inhale, lengthen. Activate left leg and exhale, fold into the midline. Coming forward as if we're coming through the lunge, turn to the long side of the mat. Align the feet nice and wide. And with your next exhale, crab toward the right leg, pinning the inner right knee open. Feel the heart going forward, the tailbone back, so we're nice and long through the spine. Breathing in here and exhaling to go a little deeper. Coming back through the center. Frame the left foot and step over the blanket into a down dog. Walk the hands back to the feet. Feet hip distance apart once again. Bending the knees as we need to. Fold, grab your elbows, and then switch your grip so you have a non-dominant grip. Press through the inner feet. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold into the legs. Inhale through a flat back. Rise it all the way up. Exhale, up, out, and over toward the right. Inhale, bring it up. And exhale, take it to the second side. Inhale, heart lifts open. Exhale, swan dive in. Walk the hands back out again. And find a down dog. Breathing space once more. Step the right foot forward. Find that lunge position. Take a breath or two to find the alignment. Inhaling here. And exhaling up, out, and over, long pyramid. Inhaling, coming forward through the lunge, dip the knee barely to the blanket. And exhale, go out and over, pyramid pose. Inhaling, coming through the lunge, knee down now. Activate the left leg for support, melt the hips in, and slowly come up. You can extend the foot now if you would like. Inhale, reach the left arm up and bring it back to the thigh. And now bring the right arm up. And come into that variation of crescent moon. Hips releasing forward, strong through the left leg, heart lifting. Take another inhale here. Exhaling, we bring our hands around the foot. Inhaling to straighten the right leg. Flexing both feet. Exhale, up, out, and over through the midline. Take another cycle of breath right here. Strong right leg. Empty the breath and deepen. Inhaling, coming forward through the lunge. Turn once again. See that the feet are nice and aligned. Feel your flat back. And exhale, crab to the left. Pinning that left knee. Releasing the hips down. Lengthening through the torso. Coming through the center again. Turning the right foot to the front. Step over your blanket. Squat in front of your blanket. And gently release down. Bring the feet together for a moment. Take them out where your fingers touch your heels. Come forward, wrap your hands around the toes. Take a nice inhale here in diamond pose or star pose. Exhale, lengthen down like you're waving the body. Inhale, take a wave up. Feel the wave through the heart center. Exhale, wave it out. One more time. Inhale, open the heart, relax the shoulders down, and exhale, wave it out. Inhale, rise to a flat spine. Extend the left leg out. Bring the right foot in. So we're in a nice 90-degree angle here with the thighs. Hands lightly over the knees. Come forward with a long torso and empty the breath. And on empty, circle toward the left. You can have a little bit of engagement in the core here to support the movement. Trying to be as long as we can, completely empty. Maybe emptying some more next time you come forward. landing over toward the left, right hand to outside of the leg or the foot, just so we can align our torso over the leg. And exhale, fold into the left leg, reaching with the left hand to the foot or the ankle, right hand down, hairline to toes, taking an inhale here, and an exhale, folding. If you have the foot, you can press the foot into the hand. One more breath in and out, emptying completely. Rising with the inhale, we'll bring our right hand behind us and come up into a stargazer. You can hold your head as you're coming up if that feels supportive, and then release the hand and just reach the hips up. Reach through the left fingertips and feel strength in your right arm. Inhale, reach and open. Take a slow exhalation to slowly come down, back onto your blanket. Left foot in half lotus or sukhasana, tucking it under the right calf. Find the length of the torso here. Empty the breath completely. And come into the 4, 7, 8 breath. Inhaling for the count of 4 into the whole torso. Hold for a count of 7. Slow exhale, collarbones to pelvic floor for the count of 8. Do that one more time on your own count. Empty the breath completely. Now inhale the breath to the heart space. Re-inhale, fill the breath. Swimmer's stroke, starting on the left, ending on the right. Leaning a little bit forward, engage the core here, hold the breath in. Rising, we'll exhale, feel the breath coming out of the heart space. Emptying the breath completely and taking a cycle of breath right here. Unraveling our legs back to a squat with the support of the hands coming up. Right at the top of the mat, come into a squat. Pin the right leg out. Place your hand to the inner knee on the left side and open the heart toward the left. Feel the shoulders relaxing down as we open. Inhale, exhale for the other side. Make the breath nice and long. The exhalation slow, unhurried, all the breath out. Coming back through center, fingertips down, hips lift. Bring the feet to hip distance apart. Bend the knees a lot and interlace your hands behind you. You can make a double fist or have the heels of the hands apart. With the inhale, extend the arms behind you, bend the knees, and lift the arms as high as you can. Really bent knees. With your next exhale, straighten the knees to where you want to straighten them. They can have a nice bend. And release the head down, arms overhead. Inhale back into this kind of skiing or diving position. Look forward and exhale, straighten the legs. Last time, inhale, bend the knees, tailbone back, and exhale, fold, let the head go. Releasing our hands down now, fingertips aligned with the toes. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, step your left foot over the blanket, and then the knee forward and down on the blanket. So we make our familiar square with the back thigh and the front calf, rise it up. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, modified warrior 2, open the arms out. Inhale, expand and lengthen here. And exhale, bring your hand either to the inner knee and expand out through the left hand, or slide your hand Right hand to the ankle and reach your left fingertips up, shining the chest toward the left side. Shoulders relaxed, expansive across the arms, driving the right sitting bone under. Take an inhale here, reach, and exhale in place. Inhaling one more time. Exhale, drop the right arm back, down and up. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, now twist toward the right. Pressing into the palms, hands to the heart center, shoulders down the back, shining the chest now toward the right side. With the inhale, we lengthen. With the exhale, we wring it out and twist. One more time like this, breathing in. Breathing out, twist, turning the head, gazing upward. Inhale the palms to heart center. Take an exhale into a shorter pyramid. And a cycle of breath here, shining the heart down now toward the floor. Empty the breath here. Shift the weight into the right leg. Half moon, just visiting here. Place your right hand to the outside of the foot or on a block and align your arm on your torso. Your left arm is on the torso and simply focus on turning. Flex the left foot hard, taking a traditional variation. Bring your right rib cage under your left and turn. Now both hands down, squaring the hips. Come back into a squat in front of the blanket. Moving with the breath as we inhale, press the right hand into the right inner knee and just twist. Feel the shoulders going down and the heart opening. Release down. Slow, steady inhale, exhale for the other side. The inhale opens. And with the exhale, let's release down. Right back down to our blanket, feet together. Extend the right leg out. Find that 90-degree angle between the thighs, hands lightly over the knees. Empty the breath and come forward. All the air out. Core engagement for support on empty, circle toward the right. Sometimes called Anahata Kriya. It can also be done with inhaling back and exhaling forward, or completely empty. Landing over toward the right when we're ready. Left hand to outside the foot or the thigh. Finding the alignment. Draw the left hip point back and exhale, fold into the right leg. Kicking the foot in the hand, if you have the foot with the hand, folding out. Hairline to toes, folding over the inner line of the right leg. Empty the breath here. Rise long with the inhale. Left hand behind us, stargazer second side. Again, supporting the head if that feels good to you. And reach when you're up with the hips. Reach the right fingertips. Lengthen, let the head release. Inhaling here. Slow exhale and bring it down. Sitting right back down on the edge of the blanket. Right foot in half lotus or sukhasana. Bringing our hands lightly over the knees, lengthen up, find the length. Chin parallel to the floor, tongue placement, roof of the mouth. Finding our first round of bellows breath. Empty the breath completely and begin. All the air up. Easy breath in, easy breath out. Emptying completely. Inhaling the breath to the heart center. Re-inhale. Circle the right shoulder back with the breath held in. Really big shoulders engage. the whole arm and scapula. Other side. Pausing at the center, exhaling. Taking a cycle of breath. Unraveling our legs, feet together. Bring the knees forward. Let them land down at the same time. Gather the palms to heart center. If you want to try kind of coming up without the support of the hands, just invite the knees up and come into a toe stand. Bringing the legs together, releasing the knees down, the crown of the head up. If you would like, the hands can extend up, steepling the index fingers, biceps by the ears, feel the ribcage lifting and the heart opening. All sides of the heart opening. With the next exhale, release the hands down. Lift the hips, drop the head, and separate the feet to hip distance apart. Bend the knees a lot. Interlace the hands behind, double fist, or heels of the hands apart. Deep bend in the knees. Straighten the elbows and reach the arms up as far as you can. Look forward. Inhale here, and exhale, fold into the legs. Let the head go. Arms overhead. One more time. Inhale. Look forward, bend the knees a lot, and exhale, let the head just go. Take the arms overhead. Hands release down. As we inhale, lengthen. And stepping the right foot back now. Knee forward and down to the blanket. Right toes tucked for support. Take an inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, warrior two modified. Inhale, expand across the arms. And exhale, either take that wing shape with the arms in a diagonal or slide your left hand to the ankle and reach the right fingertips straight up. Ground into the left foot and drive the left sitting bone under, gaze up. Relax the shoulders, expand across the heart. Inhaling, reaching, and exhaling. Inhaling one more time. Exhale, rise, bring the arm back. Down and up, take an in-breath here, and exhale to twist. Press the palms together, lengthen the torso. Exhale, twist. Shoulders away from the ears, turning the head as well with the inhale. And with the exhale, we wring it out. One more breath in and out, strong lower body. Empty the breath. Inhaling the hands to heart center. Find the pyramid pose, a breath or two. Shining the heart down. Empty completely. Coming into our brief half moon on the second side, left fingers to the outside on the floor or block. And just rest your arm on your torso. Your palm will come to the thigh. Flex your right foot a lot. Straighten your left leg to capacity and just turn the torso. So we're stacking the hips and we're stacking the rib cage. Feel that position of the body between two panes of glass. Square the hips, both hands down, and step over the blanket into down dog. Take 5 breaths here in down dog. And there are a couple ways to practice down dog. One is the sort of Iyengar style where we're inviting the lower ribs in, and so our back is super flat. The second one, which I encourage for the air element, is that we allow the chest to dip in. It's a little bit of a variation kind of off the books, but it's just as good and safe. We just let the heart melt through. Dharma Vijja sometimes does even a little pulse here. Take another breath or two here, feeling the heart opening downward, but really strong through the arms and the shoulders. With our next in-breath, Let's roll it out into a plank. Release the knees to the blanket and find tabletop. Extend the left leg straight behind us and reach the leg up. Lengthen the right arm forward. You can have your right toes tucked if that supports the balance. First, lengthen and then bend the left knee. Catch the inner ankle with the right hand and kick the foot away. Feeling strong on our right leg and left arm. Kick the foot up so the foot is kicking the arm up, inviting the left knee into midline. One more breath. Go a little deeper. And without flinging, slowly exhale, hand and knee down. Take it to the other side. Right leg extends. Right leg lifts. Reach the left arm out. Find the balance here between the standing limbs. Without dropping the right knee, catch the inner ankle and kick the foot up. Right knee coming toward midline. Reach the foot up a little higher. Focusing the gaze, tuning the breath. One more time, going a little deeper. And slowly releasing the hand and the knee down. Extend the feet and rise up to the knees. Inhaling, release your hands the non-dominant way. Inhale into the heart space. Re-inhale. And begin your movement, curling down and up. Meeting at the top when you're ready. Palms to heart center. Bringing the hands down, tuck the toes. Coming into a down dog. Broaden the feet and walk the hands back to the feet again. Releasing down into a squat. Palms at heart center. Take 2 or 3 breaths here. Feeling that we're opening the knees. You can have the knees pressing lightly back into the elbows. Releasing the tailbone down and reaching through the crown. Palms and heart toward each other. We're going to find axe breath here. That's the breath where we inhale coming up and exhale through the mouth, like we're chopping wood coming down. If you've done this with me before, come right into it. If you would like, you could watch a couple rounds. So we bring the fingertips down for a moment and just come up halfway so the knees are still bending. Bring the elbows lightly over the knees and you can have a loose grip with your hands, index fingers and thumbs side by side. Inhale, rise up, lift the heart up. Exhale with a hug, chopping wood. Inhale, it's a controlled descent, but rather free as well. Inhale, exhale, chop. Remember. One more. Staying down, hands down, return to the squat. Empty the breath here. Preparing to breathe in and hold the breath in. Let everything soften. Take an inhale into the whole torso. You can build it from the pelvic floor to the collarbones. Filling the breath. Hold the breath in. Completely relax. When you're ready to exhale, slowly exhaling. A really nice tip with the breath holds is that if you feel that you're ready to exhale, you can take another little sip of air and then you may gain another 5-10 seconds for the hold. As we're ready, pressing to the feet, strong core, come root straight up. And exhale, let the arms release to heel the feet in. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And exhale, draw the palms to heart center. Shift the weight into the left leg and find knee to chest pose. Right leg lifts. This is your option, or if you'd like, you can take a hold of either side of the foot and extend the leg forward. Not lifting the leg higher than hip level. Both knees straight. Both legs active. Fixing the gaze, breathing here. Releasing the foot or the knee, come right back into that hip distance. Second side, shift the weight into the right leg. Knee to chest, left leg lifts. Find the strength in the right leg. Mountain pose quality in one leg. Staying here if that's what you chose, or taking the foot and extending out. Releasing the foot or the knee. Feet hip distance apart. Inhale, reach up, look up, drop the tailbone, palms together, and exhale, swan dive down. Let's walk our hands back out. Release the knees to the blanket. We'll find our first camel pose. Now you can have your hands right at your waist, fingers to the big bone of the sacrum region or heels of the hands. You can stay right here and open the heart up. Or if you're ready for it, grab both your heels, press the hips forward, rise the heart up, and let the head release back. Lining up the hips over the knees. Take 3 more breaths. Opening the front line of the body opens the heart space and creates space for the spine. With our next inhale, strong core, legs rise. Hands come down to tabletop. Finding tabletop, take a breath. And now we'll find cats and cows with bellows breath. Inhale, dropping the heart down. Exhale, opening the back of the heart. Two more. Our next inhale through a neutral spine, tucking the toes, and we'll meet in a down dog. You can take your blanket and move it out of the way now. Finding our down dog. Take the right foot and glide it forward a footprint. Turn it out slightly. Right hand grabs on top of the ankle, front of the shin. Strengthening your left arm, slowly float the left leg up. You can point through the left toes to really feel that you're opening the hip socket on the left side. Left shoulder away from the ear, ground into the palm. Lift the leg a little higher. The right foot really grounded and straight, right leg. Slowly return the right hand, the left foot down. Take an inhale, reach the right leg up. Squaring down, exhale, step forward for warrior one. Nice and long and wide between the feet, hips squaring forward. Bring the hands to the waist here. And we can feel here our hip points. Let everything shine forward. Strengthen the right leg, drop the tailbone, and watch the torso come up. Bring the hands out in front of you like you're holding a box, and feel the openness across the collarbone and the chest. Straight left leg, and draw the palms together without losing that openness in the heart space, and lift the arms up. Line up the heart with the palms, gaze up. Borders of the armpits coming toward each other, straight elbows. Separating the hands now, look forward, open the arms out. Outer rotation with the arms, feel the heart open. Keep that opening through the heart. Inner rotation with the thumbs down. Bring the hands behind the back. Hold opposite forearms or come into reverse prayer with a prayer behind the heart. Find the lower body and perhaps deepen the pose. Sharpening the left leg, deep bend into the right. Everything shining forward. With the next exhalation, come forward into the diagonal. Slide your hands down the back and split the arms. Right arm back, left arm forward. Everything into the midline. Reach and extend. Stay connected with the back leg. Slice across. And twist in your warrior one. If you prefer, you could always come to the ball mount of the foot. Twisting. Inhaling, lengthening. Pressing into palms, exhaling, twisting the torso toward the right. Emptying the breath to deepen. Slowly releasing, hands come to the inside. Go back for Skandasana. So walk the hands back, turn the left foot toward the back and straighten your right leg, come down. Coming down, make sure that you're sort of supporting that left knee to stay lined up over the toes. You can stay right here, or strengthening the right leg even more, find an expansion across the arms. Reaching and opening. Breathing here, right leg really active. Inhaling and exhaling. Hands come back down. Walking ourselves toward the top of the mat. Turn the right foot to be facing straight ahead. And now come up to a half moon again to find the pose. Come through how we went before, bringing the arm on the leg and the torso and turning. So for this variation, floint the foot. Feel the leg extending. You can lift it up a little higher. When you're ready, if you'd like, the left arm lifts. Shining the heart toward the left. Feeling both legs really active. Lengthen some more. And now we'll square down. Turn the toes to face down. Take a big and wide step back for lizard. You might need to hop a couple times. Find lizard first with the knee lifted, and then when you're ready, let the knee come down, roll over the front of the knee. This supports the knee and goes deeper into the lunge. And we have the hands down. Option 2, block underneath the forearms, forearms to block. Option 3, you can bring the forearms all the way down to the floor. Shining the heart forward. You can traction your arms a little bit backward. This helps to open the heart forward. Keep gathering the right knee in. As we're ready, if we're using a support block, bring it to the side, palms down. Lift the back knee and step back to plank. Inhaling, heart forward. Exhaling, down dog. Inhale, roll out into an up dog with the toes tucked. Heart comes in front of the arms, arms super strong. Legs engage. With the next exhale, knee to the hips. Empty the breath. And come into that down dog where you're gently letting your torso come through. Again, inhale into an up dog. Fully arrive. Exhale. Coming into a down dog. Fully arrive. Last time, inhaling, coming forward, and always feel free to move with your breath. And exhaling for down dog. Inhaling to plank. Exhale the knees directly down. grab a hold of the front of your mat, and as you exhale, come to puppy stretch, sometimes also called Anahata Asana. We're flaring our sitting bones to the back wall, dipping our heart down. Elbows may come down, may not. Keep looking forward and breathing. The knees are pretty much stacked under the hips. And the breath here. Rise up a little bit. Bring the hands down. Bring your knees together and the feet together. Walk the hands back. And sit with your heels right in front of the sitting bones. And find the length of the spine here. Find the chin and tongue placement. We feel some strength in the arms to support these big breaths. Empty the breath completely. Bellows breath. All the air up. Slow inhale into the whole torso. Re-inhale, fill the whole breath. Jalandhara Bandha, lift the chest, chin toward the chest. Shoulders down, Mula Bandha, lift the pelvic floor into the body. Gaze to third eye, hold the breath in. Lift the head, relax Mula Bandha, and exhale, eyes completely open. Taking a cycle of breath. As you're ready, we'll meet in a down dog. Finding our down dog. Gliding the left foot a footprint forward, turn it slightly out. Strengthen your right arm. Just press into that right palm. Left hand above the ankle, front of the shin, and lift your right leg up. Left leg very straight and strong. Flowing through the right toes, feel that the leg is extending out of the hip socket. Lengthen and lift some more. Breathe here steady, focus the gaze. Hand and right foot, return, inhale, lift the left leg up. Squaring down, exhale, come to fingertips and step the left foot forward. Warrior one. Find the arrangement of the feet, open the heart forward. When you're ready, bring the hands to the hips. And as we dial the sitting bones, let everything sort of be even and square forward. Activate the right leg, deep bend in the left. Strong left leg, drop the tailbone with the inhale, just watch the torso come up. Reconnect with that back leg, holding a shoebox in front of us with the palms. Feel the openness across collarbones and heart. Keep that openness and bring the palms together. Bring the arms up. Coming into traditional warrior one, lining up the arms with the heart and gazing up toward the hands. Open the arms apart, look forward. Keep your warrior one, take the arms to the side, outer rotation. So the heart opens even more. Keep that opening, inner rotation. Strong core to support the lower back. Come to your reverse prayer or grab opposite elbows and hold this warrior one variation. Bringing the torso into a diagonal. Slide the hands down and split the arms. Right arm forward, left back. Everything framing the midline. Reach and lengthen. Twist toward the left. Finding the variation on the twist you did first side. You can have the twist being in the warrior one if you came with me. Palms and heart toward each other. Glide the chest to the left side. Lengthen tailbone, crown of head. Empty the breath, twist. Looking down, hands down, and then to the inside as we walk the feet back. Open the toes and take your time to come down into Skandasana. The hips stay lifted. The torso stays long. Really activating the left leg. That helps with the balance in the pose and stability. And staying down with the hands or keeping that right leg pinned, maybe we extend the left arm and find our wingspan. Reach and open. Hands come back down. Taking our time with the support of our hands, we press up to come toward the top of the mat. Left toes facing straight forward. Right up into our half moon. Starting with our right arm as we did before, positioned on torso and thigh, and spinning the left rib cage under the right. Now floating through the right toes, lift a little bit, and the right arm can lift if you did that before. Left hand to the floor or a block. Activating both legs strong and spinning through. We're trying to put the body between two panes of glass here. Reach a little higher, spin the left rib cage under. Looking down, both hands down. First square the hips before moving. Then take that big step back. You might need to bounce a couple times to find the right distance. Find the first lifted lizard lunge, then let your right knee come down and roll over the front of the knee. Sensitive knees, you can always put padding or double up your mat. And again, staying here or forearms on block or forearms on floor, whatever you chose the first time. The right toes can be extended or they can be tucked for a little bit more steering action. And heart opens forward. Gaze out in front of us also helps with that feeling of the heart opening. Breathing here, melting the hips down, opening collarbones forward. Preparing to come out of it, if we're using a prop, we bring it to the side. Palms down, step back again into plank pose. And adjust into down dog. We'll take the same movement, adding a little bit more intensity. With every exhale, we'll be lifting an opposite leg. Come with me or watch it once if you need to. So the inhale brings us forward into an up dog, like we did before with the toes tucked, fully arrive. With the exhale, back to down dog, lift your left leg up, stay square. Inhale, bring that foot down. As you're coming into the up dog, fully arrive, exhale, and the right leg lifts. Inhaling, trying to keep our movement as precise as possible and the alignments complete. Exhale, left leg lifts. Down dog splits. Bring that leg down as we inhale to come forward into an up dog. Exhale, right leg lifts. Right leg down, come forward into the up dog and hold for 30 breaths. Activate the legs, open the heart forward, straighten the elbows a lot, chin parallel to the floor. With our next exhale, releasing the knees down. Take the knees wide, toes together, find a child's pose. Empty the breath here. Rise to tabletop. One more time, cows and cats with bellows breath. Feel free to find your own pace, inhaling and exhaling. One more. Meeting in a neutral with the in-breath. Toes tucked and exhaling, finding our down dog. Broadening the feet, walk the hands back to the feet. Open the toes out and come down into a squat. It's fine to squat first. Find all the alignments so that we come into the variation in a correct posture. We're long in the squat. In other words, we don't collapse down in the squat. We're opening the knees. Knees can be pressing a little back. Heart, hands toward each other. Now, option, as we do this movement, try not to move the knees at all. So everything is staying the same. First option is to bring your right hand down and open on the left, just as we did before with that wingspan. Or option to bind, inner rotation with the right arm, low on the shin, take it back, keep the left knee aligning over the toes and see if you can bind the left hand, wrist, or higher. And with this movement, keep your hips squaring forward, but you might turn and rotate a little bit toward the left. And breathe here, heart opening. Return back to center. Take a breath to find the alignment. Go to the second side. You can expand if that's what goes. Or inner rotation with the left. Keep the right knee where it is and bind the right hand or wrist. The hips and legs as they are, but perhaps the torso turning a little bit toward the left, the right. Returning through the squat. Strengthening our legs, core engagement, slowly rising up. Leaving the feet as they are, maybe the toes come a little bit in. Drop the hands down. Release the tailbone down, open through the heart space. And reach the arms up now in a V. Empty the breath completely. Preparing for 4, 7, 8 breath. Inhale from the fingertips to the heart for a count of 4. Hold for 7 at the heart space. Exhale, heart to fingertips for a count of 8. One more round, fingertips to heart, count of 4. Exhale, heart to fingertips, count of 8. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, bring the palms to heart center. Toe heel the feet in a little bit more. Narrow, eyes open. Shift the weight into the right leg. Lift the left knee up. Option for tree pose, or you can even stay here holding the knee up. Or ballet, catching the inner heel with the left hand and opening the leg and the arm out. Steady and gaze and breath. Bringing that knee forward and down, shifting the weight into the left leg, palms to heart center. Lift the right knee up, holding the outside of the knee. Positioning the foot for tree or staying here or ballet. inner ankle opening up, inner heel rather, opening up. Drawing in, knee forward, feet down, back to that hip distance apart. Inhale, reaching up, looking up, palms together, tailbone drops. Exhale, nice and long with the torso, lead with the chest and come down. Walking the hands out enough to bring the feet together, the knees down. Sitting on our heels, grab a hold of your blanket as we prepare now to work with some more binds. Returning to some of our opening postures with the option to go deeper. Bringing our knees to the blanket. Now, tuck the left toes and rise up. Bring the hands to the waist and step the right foot forward into that square position. So the front calf is vertical, back thigh is vertical. We're going to take half camel with the option to bring the left hand to the heel, but it doesn't have to come. You can leave your left hand on the waist and reach the right arm up and shine the heart up. Or we bring our left hand to the heel, press the hip a little open, and then reach the right arm up. And get really strong in the legs, especially into the whole left leg, right up to the glute, and reach the heart up. The arm can be straight up or the bicep by the ear. Feel the heart lifting toward the ceiling. It's a half camel, so it is a back bend. Empty the breath. Strong core. Inhale, reverse the arms. Lift up through that right arm. Keep all that opening through left side body, and we're lifting through the left arm, coming across to twist. We can come back to our first twist, or glide the arm down so the armpit is coming toward the knee, toward the thigh. You can help that left hand go underneath. Once you find that, lift the right arm up. This finds length, and we exhale the arm behind, reaching for right hand, wrist, or forearm. Tighten the loop if you have the bind, and twist the torso, the heart, toward the right side and toward the ceiling, and breathe here. Glide the shoulders down the back. Empty the breath and deepen. Slowly look down, release. Bring the hands down, framing the front foot. With your next exhale, straighten the legs and just take a nice pyramid here to find a neutral position for the spine and the lower back. Soften the right knee, step the left foot forward and the right foot back. Release the right knee down, again to where we're making that square. Inhale, rise up. Left leg now in front. Exhale, modified warrior two. To our modified side angle. Gliding the hand down now if you were lifted. And if you glided the hand down before, option to go a little lower. Drop the shoulder beneath the knee. Curl that left arm under. Bring your right arm behind. Catch as high as you can on the right arm as is comfortable. Tighten your loop and turn your chest to breathe. Turning again toward the right, breathing here. If you're in the bind, the shoulder and the knee are together. If you're holding the bind higher on the arm, you can straighten the right arm. Empty the breath and deepen. Both hands come inside. Lift the knee off the blanket and turn your feet into a narrow stance now. You can narrow a little bit here to the wide side of your mat. Bend the knees a lot and find a forward fold. Glide your hands down the calves. You can scoop your hands underneath the heels. Bend the knees so the knees and the armpits are together. Drop the head. And then from there, negotiate straightening the legs a little more as you waterfall the torso forward and you shine your heart toward the back wall. Let the head dangle. Empty the breath and deepen. Slowly release, hands back underneath the shoulders. Go toward the front of your mat and step over your blanket to a down dog. All meet in a down dog. Just feel the difference between this one and the first one. Let your heart come through. Dharma calls down dog a preparation for crescent moon. As really opening through the shoulders, in other words. Now, release the knees to the blanket. Rise to the knees, hands to the waist. We'll leave our right toes tucked. Step the left foot forward. We're coming into that half camel again. So the left hand can be at the waist, and the right hand, at the waist. Or we bring the right hand to the heel, whatever variation you did first. Reach the right arm up. Strengthen the right leg a lot, all the way to the glute, and shine the heart up. Find the variation you did on the first side. Same shape, same intensity. Empty the breath and deepen. Heart lifting. With the inhale, switch out the arms. Lift high through the right arm to open the right side body and slice across. Twisting to the left now. We can come back to our first variation of the twist. Or we glide our hand down, our arm down. We help the right arm go under. First, find this shape here. The armpit and the knee close. Then the right arm lifts. This helps us to find some length. Bring it behind and bind the left hand, wrist, or forearm. If you have the bind, nice tight loop. Spin the chest through, breathe. Empty the breath here. Slowly releasing. Looking down, framing that left foot. Straighten the legs. And find a nice neutral position for the hips and the chest. Everything gliding down. Empty the breath here in your pyramid. Soften into the left knee. Step the right foot forward and the left foot back. Left knee to the blanket. Finding that square again. Inhale, rise. Exhale, modified warrior two. Coming through this opening and then gliding the hand down. Tucking the right sitting bone under, staying here. Or right shoulder releases below the knee. Fold your right arm through and take a hold as high as you can on the left arm. If you can, straighten the left elbow and turn. Again, shoulder and knee are together. Right sitting bone under, flushing our chest. Toward the left. Empty the breath here. Slowly release down. Frame the left foot. This time step back into down dog again. Preparing to come into a camel, followed by rabbit. The camel opens the front of the heart, the rabbit the back. So let's release our knees to the blanket. Now options, so many options in camel, available to everyone. You can have your hands, like you're having them in the jeans pockets, your toes tucked, and you're lining your hips over the knees, so you don't want to be going back. And you're shining the heart up. We find the back bend by opening the front line of the body, not by leaning back and crunching into the spine. This opening the front line of the body lets the spine be nice and open. Option 1. Option 2, hands to heels, like we did before. Option 3, since we're only doing this once, is to extend your feet for a full camel. Make sure your feet are not sickling, so the outer ankles come in. So the feet are going straight back. So you're either on your toes or your toes are extended. You go back, you catch your heels, and unfurl and come up. And bring your hips as much as possible over the knees. Look up, let your head release into the shoulder girdle, and breathe. Front line of the body opening. Bone to throat. Strong core and legs. Gather the inner thighs toward each other, rise it up. And exhale. Slowly come down, gather the knees together and the feet together. For a moment, sit on your heels and come into a neutral spine. If you've never seen rabbit, take a moment to look first, because once you're a rabbit, you don't want to look side to side. So to come into rabbit, we just bring our hands, like we started class, by the feet and the forehead down. Now grabbing the heels, we hold strongly the heels and lift the hips up. Naturally, we come toward the head. This is also called headstand prep. So you have a really strong hold on the heels, so there's really very little weight on the head. If you have a strong headstand practice and a strong neck, you can walk your knees toward your forehead a little to the knees, and go toward the back of your head, which we never do in headstand, but we can do in rabbit because we have such a strong hold on the heels. The hips are continually lifting. Now feel your entire back heart spread open. Tune into the breath here. Just 3 more breaths. Continually lifting up against the hold of our arms. As you're ready, just release it back through a reclining child's pose. Bring the hands under the shoulders and allow the torso to come up. Sit to a side. And we're going to come right onto our blanket for some more hatha poses. So finding our blanket here. We're going to bring the left foot in half lotus, or sukhasana, also known as easy pose. It's just tucked under, it's a cross-legged pose. Half lotus. And now with the opening that we have done, you might want to choose full lotus if that's in your practice. So we'll start with a more vigorous practice and kind of pare it down into more subtle. We'll take one more round of bellows breath. And then with a breath in between, we're going to bring our arms out, take a breath into the heart center, and then pound our elbows to our side body, right to the side, to the rib cage side, with the breath held in at the heart level. So take a moment to find your posture, all the natural curves of the spine, shoulders relaxed, chin and tongue, empty the breath completely, and bellows breath. Empty completely. Inhale the arms up all the way. And exhale the hands out in a V. Now find core engagement here. Really important for the next movement. Empty the breath completely. Inhale from the fingertips to the heart space and hold the breath there. Re-inhale and begin your movement. Lots of vigor here. Strong core. When you're ready, exhale. Gently release the hands above the knees and take a breath in and out a couple times. We'll find a practice going from empty to full. As we inhale, lift the hands up, bring your thumb to the root of the ring finger and gently fold the other fingers in front. With your exhale, just come down, doing nothing except completely empty, forehead to the floor or a block. Stay empty. Just simply stay empty. As we're ready to breathe, we inhale, slowly rise the arms in a cactus. Fill your heart space with breath and hold the breath there. Exhaling, slowly letting the arms release down. Unraveling our seat. To go into second side directly, right foot tucked under left calf, half lotus or full lotus. We always go into full lotus slowly. It's quite a deep bend for the knee, and so we don't want to jerk ourselves into that position. And again, find the natural curves of the spine. This time, simply lift your arms up as we did before standing. Empty the breath. Inhale from the tips of the fingers to the heart space for a count of 4. Hold 7. Exhale, heart to fingertips for 8. One more time, inhaling from the fingertips to the heart. Hold for 7. Exhale, heart to fingertips. Nice and slow, tracing the breath with the mind until we're completely empty, air out at the tips of the fingertips. As we inhale, just gently bring the hands down. Open the eyes fully if they close. And finding that last same practice, this one is from the Tibetan yoga tradition. As we inhale, our hands lift, thumbs right to the root of the ring finger, wrap the other hands behind on the thumbs, and with a slow exhale, come down. Stay empty. When we're ready to breathe, we inhale, rise very slowly. Rise to the full length of your spine. Feel as if your arms are making a container for light to come down, like a funnel to the heart space. Hold the breath there, bringing an image to the heart space of a flower, any color. And when we're ready to exhale, we slowly release the hands down, Open the eyes if they close. Preparing to come into finishing poses, unraveling our legs. We're going to use the blanket for a shoulder stand. I like to, every couple months, show how to use the blanket. But before that, let's take fish pose and a brief plow. So coming to the middle of our blanket, holding underneath the knees, slow exhale to come all the way down. If a lotus is irregular in your practice, you can do the lotus. I'll show that in a minute if you want to see it. But traditionally, you extend the legs. Before extending, just bend the knee and bring your hands underneath. We press into the palms and elbows, thrust the heart up, and release the head back. Before bringing the head down, we really want to feel that the heart is opening. And we're pressing into the elbows so we're not collapsing into the shoulders. And then the head comes lightly on the mat, and we gaze to third eye. This helps to open the throat. Stay there if that's your option. And if you wanted to do the half lotus, it's the same posture, full lotus. We only do it in a full lotus, not in a half. Then we just find the lotus, find your comfortable lotus, and same thing, start by bringing your head down and then grab your feet. The lotus is the tail of the fish. And now our elbows are like pontoons and heart is lifting. And gaze toward the third eye and breathe, letting the knees release toward the ceiling, toward the floor, even as you're holding the feet. Wherever we are, we're breathing into the ribcage space. To come out of it, gently, just move the head very gently, chin comes in, release the head down. If you have the lotus, you undo the lotus, just let the feet extend. Take 2 or 3 breaths wherever you land. And now coming into plow, which is the counter pose to our fish. So if you've not seen this posture, please watch first, then go. Once we're on these positions, we don't move the head. Palms down by our sides, legs lift. For action to lift the hips. Wrap the hands around the waist. Coming through a half shoulder stand, just split your feet and allow this to be a little self-adjust here. Split your feet the other way. Shimmying the shoulders in a little bit. Then when you're ready, both feet overhead. Keep supporting your mid-back or your waist. If you're comfortable releasing your back, you can interlace your hands and glide your arms closer together. Finding your variation. If you're feeling super open today, you can bring knees to ears. Wherever we are, we're lifting the tailbone up and bringing the kidney region in. Chest and chin together. Tongue to the roof of the mouth and then gliding back as though you're swallowing your tongue. 3 or 4 more breaths here. Coming out of it, release your hands down, slowly gliding 1 vertebrae at a time. The hands are down, supporting your movement to come down. When the legs come overhead, gently bend the knees, hold underneath the knees. Take a moment here to neutralize the spine. And then holding under the thighs, lift the head, rock a little bit, and we'll gently find our way up to come into our shoulder stand. We can think of this as one of the peak practices of the practice. So what we want to do is we find the blanket has like usually two, not usually, always has like two aspects. One is like a little bit more of a cliff, and the other one is more of an incline. I like to sit on the incline. So I find that more supportive. But we're going to take the cliff side away from us because that's where our shoulders are going to go. Now, just come right with me if you've seen this and you know how to use a blanket and shoulder stand, or please watch first, then join when you're ready. So we come down, and with our hands, we want to see that our shoulders are lining up with the edge of the blanket and even a little bit behind, because when we rise up, we're going to naturally come forward. We bring our palms down, find some core engagement and lift the legs, and bring your hands starting at the waist, lift the legs up. Now again, we can find this little self-adjust by just reaching one foot down, one up, and just naturally the shoulders will find a movement to go into a better alignment. You can even come through a plow. You can interlace your hands and bring your arms together through the plow. Now, ready for the shoulder stand, our hands can come toward the mid-back. One leg at a time, always coming up into shoulder stand. Lifting up on our blanket. Feet together. You can start by flexing your feet and reaching up. And then just let your legs soften. So this is a very, we're very much in the posture. Our neck is safe. It's away from the floor. We're in a deep Jalandhara Bandha. Dharma Mitra calls us the mother of the poses. He says some yogis will just stay in shoulder stand for 20 minutes a day. It's so healthful as a practice. And with a blanket, we can just really come into like a straight position. Everything nice and aligning. You can allow your eyes to close. This is pretty much our last posture. Let the breath just breathe itself. With the inversions, all we need to do is to bring ourselves into the right position, and then the pose is bringing the benefits by itself. We don't really need to be active. We only need to be active up until we come into the posture. And then the only activity is to maintain it. Take 5 to 7 more breaths here, or that length of time. You don't have to take deep breaths in and out. To come out of it, slowly release one leg at a time, back through a plow. You can grab a hold of your shins and rise it up through longevity. Glide your hands toward the ankles and gently, slowly come down, holding onto the ankles. When the legs come overhead, bend the knees and just glide off the blanket. So just your head now is on the blanket. Come into partial recline, bring your palms to the belly, and take 1, 4, 7, 8 breath. Inhaling into the torso for a count of 4. Hold for 7. Exhale, collarbones to pelvic floor for 8. When you're fully empty, arms to the side, one leg at a time extends out. You can stay with your head on the blanket if that's comfortable. I find it very comfortable, the chin coming in. You can take your shavasana right here. Inhaling through the nose and just sigh it out. And fall into the embrace of gravity. You can come back to your visualization at the heart center of your flower, lightly holding the mind there. Taking a few more moments into relaxation, perhaps diving a little bit deeper. Your next in-breath, finding some movement. And letting it go into your fingers and your feet. Taking any movement that you find inviting. And when you're ready, turning to your left side if it's evening for you, or to your right side if you're starting your day. Draw the knees to the chest. You can support your head with your bottom arm, making a pillow, and just linger there. Taking a moment to connect with quality of the heart space. Love, joy, empathy, compassion, and perhaps most fundamentally, openness. Taking a moment to feel into whatever quality is speaking to you at this moment, connecting with it, and perhaps remembering it throughout the day. We'll gently rise and find our seat together to close our practice with our dedication. May all beings be happy and free. Palms to heart center. And breathing in together. Loka, samasta, sukhino, bhavantu. Loka, samasta, sukhino, bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. That's Namaste. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed the practice. See you next time.